Alright, so we got you guys here today. The topic is going to be all about goal setting, alright? Mainly, we're going to teach you guys a little bit more in depth about what goal setting should consist of in terms of structuring, more implications as far as how the work you put into developing your goals according to a SMART, guideline, the better off it's going to lead you to having a roadmap to develop, what you're going to do, what's that course of action you're going to take to get towards that goal that you have in your mind. It's also going to help you identify how important that goal is to you. It's going to help you identify the reasoning, like the emotional background behind why you're doing that goal. So it's really going to help you own that goal. It's going to help you make that identity. So you can use that as telling other people and creating a social structure to make it even more meaningful and motivational for you to take that goal, all right? So we use goal setting as basically a way to improve our performance in some area that's unsatisfactory. We're looking for a change, something. It can be applied in, performance-based, so it can be a transformation change. It can be applicable to some activity that you do or a skill-based activity. It can be applied at work. It can be applied for productivity or to motivate others, so you help them develop goals. There's a whole process, though, about if you learn how to do a really good job of building SMART goals. We'll talk about what that means in terms of breaking it down. That means that it's going to have a lot of dynamic to it, which helps enrich how strong that goal needs to be, which improves your motivation to want to complete that goal. But it's also more likely that you're going to be able to do that. So we're going to examine more about how that is. Improves, and so basically setting goals helps you improve your influence and change. All right. If you have a goal that means enough to you, if you can take ownership in it and have the self-efficacy to believe that you can do it, your motivation is going to be increased dramatically versus something that's not really a big change to you and doesn't really mean much. You're not going to have that same motivation. Goals are good for developing positive habits. We're looking to make those changes, things that we're not satisfied with at the current time, but we want to make that change. So we're trying to make that roadmap of what that means we have to do to get to there. And it's kind of unique for everybody, right? It's like a fingerprint. The reason for what you're going to do is not going to be applied to anybody else. That same reason, all right? Some people have similar goals, but the route they take to get there, or the reason that they got to that point that wanted to make that change, completely changes. And we all have a different history. So also, and getting those goals established is good for improving your mood. You have something, a positive change on your mind. You're ready to make that, you made it ready to take those steps, and you have that support structure. You've got improved mood. You're going to wake up with more energy, more application of focus. You're going to have that satisfaction in your lifestyle now is starting to improve because you're going to start doing those building blocks. You're going to start piecing things together on top of each other. So now everything's starting to move with more momentum, all right? You're working towards that goal that means something to you. And then the other part is trying to establish and make sure that you don't approach a goal without a plan. We're trying to use the experience that we know as trainers to help you guys in this challenge to help you make a roadmap, a plan, so you can achieve that, versus just putting something out there in a long distance reach and not really knowing how you're going to get there. You can think of a few good ideas, but it doesn't really make complete sense from start to end. So we're really trying to put that plan into place and make those building blocks. All right. And so we're just trying to make sure that you don't fail to plan. Okay. One thing I want to talk about before we really get into how you develop the SMART goals is talk about short-term, long-term goals. It can be really easy to think one big positive change and get so focused in on that and realizing how far away that might possibly look for you. So, the program is 10 weeks right now for you guys, but maybe you guys got something in your mind as far as something that's really important to you that you're trying to work towards. And that could be up to a year or 2 years down the road, Or you're getting more so they're going to help you kind of get those short term, which is like 6 weeks out or less, and then we're going to look at the long term, like that 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 6 months, 2 years down the road, all right? We want to understand what's something that's going to push you, what's going to something to make you reach outside yourself. You know, have you take ownership of that. So making sure that you have a general concept of the difference between how to develop short-term goals to build up towards a long-term goal, and then not making that long-term goal too difficult or too easy. So we're looking for something that's just in the middle, something that's going to push you. Then you want to have something that has measurable feedback. We want something that you can track, something that gives you, you know, feedback in terms of, you know, physical form, like measuring circumference, you know, different body segments. Or maybe it's improving your aerobic capacity, you know, your fat burning capacity, how well your body actually tunes into exercise, and all this effort that you guys are going to be doing. You know, you can actually improve that. You can measure that. You know, we have tools for that. We also have things like, you know, you can do performance-based measurements. So you know a set standard, and you know how to measure that. Well, that's something that can be guided and checked in down the line. So you want it to be gradually increasing in difficulty. If you're going to set up short-term goals, you want to have one kind of leading into something else a little more difficult, maybe a couple weeks down the line. So we're trying to get those building blocks that progress and keep that momentum building forward. Everything pushing to that big end goal, all right? And then just keep in mind that you're trying to develop short-term goals and long-term goals according to the SMART standard, all right? It doesn't matter how big that goal is or how far away that is for you. You're still trying to keep on that protocol so that you know you have a good, you know, process to get there and ensuring that you're going to get to that point. So, all right. So SMART goals. Basically, we do this to help you avoid hitting setbacks, getting frustrated, not knowing what to do next, kind of not being able to overcome that, all right? You kind of get setback and then you necessarily fall off that program. What we want to do is prevent you guys from having a 10-week program saying, I want to lose weight, but not really having that specific and meaningfulness behind it. Then you have a bad week, maybe, you know, work, life got really crappy, and all of a sudden you're behind. Well, what do you do then, you know? So you got to start having some building blocks that establish, giving you ideas of how you're going to overcome those setbacks. You know, it's that insurance for you to make sure that you continue to push, you know, where you want to be. So, you know, SMART, we're going to go ahead and talk about that. So the first component of SMART, you know, you got the S. We want to talk about specificity, all right? That SMART goal has to be specific. So you have to make it very narrow in terms of the definition of what it is. So, Tanya, from what you've seen and what you've had conversations, what have you seen as far as ideas or examples that have not necessarily been very clear in specificity?
There's a couple. One was I am going to incorporate fitness every day this week, whether I can attend class or not. And that's very, very general. It doesn't give you, you know, what classes are you coming to? How many days are you coming? You know, in that one phrase alone, you could get maybe 5 to 10 separate goals, you know, separate specific goals. So you really want to learn to break that down. I am coming to 4 tri-fitness classes this week. You know, and if you want to focus on flexibility, I am coming to 1 flexibility class this week. Another good one is I am going to maintain my goals from last week. At this point, we are all in starting week 2. There is no maintaining at this point yet. Maintaining comes at the end. And really, you know, when you're goal setting, you should always be striving for something more challenging, layering whatever on top of what you've already done. So at this point, we are not done and we are not maintaining. So we really need to specify, you know, additional goals for ourselves. And if, you know, we're here to help you. And if you're struggling to really think of something specific, then, you know, just reach out to us and we'll help you define those goals. And we're going to do a little bit of that today, too, at the end. We'll help you get the grasp of how to set up goals, how to make them specific, how to categorize your goals. So yeah.
Perfect.
hmm
Can I ask, in your idea, what are they kind of focusing on right now?
Right now,
Define it as something.
I guess I would like you to focus on kind of the basics right now. So in anything that's anything you haven't created a solid habit on right now. So if it's easy for you to come to class, don't pick that as one of your goals. If it's hard for you to drink water, like something as simple as drinking enough water, I'm going to get my 2 to 3 liters in today. And one, that's really measurable, especially if you're logging it in MyFitnessPal or what have you. So just the simplest things, and just think about the things that you really kind of struggle to create a habit around right now, and focus on those for the first few weeks for sure.
Great.
Mhm.
I think having that specific goal for the week, it's just an immediate action. What am I taking care of this week? Tanya does a good job at helping you guys lay out some of those, what she thinks are good general guidelines, what she just talked about, the basics. So you're adding some of that specificity. So you're trying to get a certain amount of cardio time in for volume every week. That's going to be progressing week by week, but at least you have a number, and then you can divide that in how many days per week. You want to spread that across. The point is, you're trying to get that much time in there, all right? So there's a specific time. Now you have something to log. You have a specific number that you give back for feedback, and you take that to the next week and you try to carry it forward. You try to increase that. So we're trying to increase your performance levels, trying to increase your total work effort towards your goal. All right, so you're just continuing to build that momentum. So the more specific, the more something you can define it in terms of something that's measurable, that's what we're looking for, which takes us right into the next one. You want something that is measurable.
Mhm.
All right, saying that you want to lose weight, okay, that's great. Weight is measurable, but it's also very fluctuative. It has very little impact in terms of what really matters in terms of developing good habits or making a transformation to something much healthier. It can be influenced by so many factors like hydration status. It can be influenced by genetics. If you have a different body composition than somebody else, at the same age, it doesn't matter. The idea is you're trying to improve on what you know is healthy and what you know is going to help you feel better in the long term. So thinking more about that body composition focus, or maybe you want to take it to, you want to just be able to walk continuously for 30 minutes without taking a break, or take it to a run. Eventually at the end of the 10 weeks, you want to be able to run. You want to be able to do a squat unassisted and full range of motion. Gaining some of that mobility. These are all things that can be measured. We can help you guys do that. So start thinking about some of those things, that taking that next component to it. What can you measure? Try to keep it to things that mean more and are more important to you than your weight, because weight doesn't influence how you feel every day. You look at a scale and maybe that reaffirms what you haven't been doing, but that doesn't change the activities or the behaviors you guys have, let yourselves, what have been happening in your history or in your past. You're trying to redefine yourself right now. You're doing new activities. You're taking on new habits to become something else, all right? And then we go into attainable. So here we kind of run into some problems sometimes where people have a nice, strong idea in their mind. They think in something grand. They're really motivated at the beginning of something. They're ready for change. We call this being in that pre-contemplated stage, where you're starting to think about what you want to do, and that's usually when our motivations, our inspirations, what we see in our daily life, we want to aspire to be, and sometimes we have to do a reality check and make sure how attainable that really is. We have to ensure that that's within your grasp, but be a little nervous that you might not get there, in the time you were thinking. All right, you're still going to be working towards that, but, a couple of good examples of bad examples, like thinking you're going to lose 6 pounds in a week and maintain that. It's not very likely. Your body's going to be feeding back to you a lot of negative signals. It's not going to respond nicely, and what's going to end up happening is it's it's going to be over stressful. You're going to back off what you've been doing, and then it's going to come back. All right, so it's not developing a healthy habit. Another one is like, what did I have in my mind? You have another example of a bad attainable goal. I'm trying to buy myself some time here.
I guess anything that's pretty much all or nothing at this point.
Right.
Because we're all still learning to build those habits, you can't expect to be perfect all the time. So anything that requires you to be perfect 100% of the time, and that can be just about any element of your program at this point, you know, nutrition or... Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's just about doing those little things day in and out. Yeah.
It's that kind of point. We're not trying to set your goal so lofty that you're not going to attain it. We also don't want it to be where you have to put in 2 days of work and you're going to get there. That's not really going to motivate you. It's not going to really inspire any kind of change. So we're trying to find a nice middle ground there. What seems pretty difficult for you? What's going to push you to really go beyond your comfort zone to reach for something that kind of means a bit to you, all right? And then you want to keep it relevant. Now, we talk about relevancy because this is where that whole ownership, this is where that whole emotional connection to your goal really plays into part. If it doesn't mean anything to you, if you're going towards something and it doesn't inspire how you interact with people in your daily life, if it doesn't, it's going to create a social structure, an environment that supports you, you're not likely going to stay on board with what your goal is. You're not going to stay on track with it because you're not receiving that support. You're not receiving that feedback. You're not necessarily as engaged into it. Your self-efficacy is down. Your motivation is going to be lower. So we're trying to keep it productive by making it something that really means something. So if you're just, and I think a good example is I want to be able to, hang out with my kids, as I get older, and they get older, they may be young now and I don't have to move around as much, but I want to keep active with them, So setting up a goal very specific to that, to ensure that you're going to gain mobility, you're going to gain a little bit of strength, you're going to improve your aerobic capacity so you can actually endure, and keep up with them. This ensures that you are setting yourself up to enjoy that aspect of your life. All right, we really want to push that part. Things that influence not just you physically, but who you identify yourself as, out in your lifestyle, at home or at work, as an athlete, or, just coming into the gym and being a healthy individual and making those habits happen. All right, so really trying to make sure that we understand how important it is to you. And so just having that one really powerful message to yourself why it is going to be important. And then the last little bit is you want to keep it time-based. You have to put a deadline to something. Otherwise, you can fail a million times, and it's just not going to make a difference to you. It's not going to motivate you to push through the failures, through the setbacks. You have nothing to make you push through something that's outside your comfort zone. You need that time-based timeline there. You need something that says, there's an urgency factor here, all right? I have to take action now, and I have to keep after it if I want to get this done. Otherwise, right where you are, that unsatisfactory component of whatever you're trying to change never changes, not by enough, all right? So take into consideration these concepts, all right, when we start thinking about putting it all into a definition term. We're going to work with you guys today about how to kind of shape that. So you're going to take your core concept and we're going to make sure it covers all the bases, okay? And then setting your goals, all right? So if you're having difficulty giving those specifics to your goals, your desire to have something more measurable to give it more feedback, great. You don't sure how to do that, ask. We have a lot of experience with helping people do that. Trainers don't get good at the whole fitness and being healthy thing without practicing this whole thing ourselves. We don't just get lucky with what we do. We learn to use these goal-setting processes to push us. So we want to help you guys with what we help our clients do and help you guys kind of do. All right, we're going to make sure that it's very specific to everything. All right. So we're also here to help create a support system. We want to help you also create another support system at home, in your family, at your work, all right? We want to get you engaged on social media to have people who aren't necessarily seeing you every single day, but maybe they send you little goodbyes, text messages, just helping you keep that confidence, that self-efficacy up, all right? And then really just trying to maximize how important it feels to you guys to do this. You got a lot invested on this, your time, you got financial investment into it. You got people out there who know you're involved in this, so let's make the most of that, let's keep it really important to you. So I think Tanya wants to lead you guys right now through, go ahead and start looking at writing down actually physically writing down some of our short-term and long-term goals and how to kind of structure them into that SMART format, and then guiding it according to